Welcome to a Power CrossYoga class. Welcome to this somewhat homey atmosphere where I hope you can feel at home, that you can feel safe, and just have some fun on the mat with me. So Power Yoga is a class where you use your strength quite a lot. And you're of course welcome to skip any pose you don't like, or if you have injuries, just adjust as you need. I hope you sit down. I sit on a block, that's why I'm a little bit elevated here. And zoom in on the breathing just for a moment. Tall spine and hands resting on your thighs. Maybe your palms face up for an open body gesture. Breathing in and out through your nose if possible. And if you need to side out and let go of anything, please do so. Today's theme is from 1 Corinthians chapter 2. And often in our daily lives, in our jobs, we need to be reasonable. We need to use logic and reason to get things done. And that's also great and beautiful. But here on the mat, we try to switch into another mindset, into the mindset of the heart reasoning. So just listen to what Paul writes to the congregation in Corinth. And so it was with me, brothers and sisters. When I came to you, I did not come with eloquence or human wisdom, as I proclaimed to you the testimony about God. For I resolved to knowing nothing while I was with you, except Jesus Christ and Him crucified. And I came to you in weakness, with great fear and trembling. My message and my preaching were not with wise and persuasive words, but with a demonstration of the Spirit's power, so that your faith might not rest on human wisdom, but on God's power. So we don't have to find everything out. We don't have to figure it out, have to know everything. Even though knowing reasoning is great. So right now, try to exhale your fears, your doubt. If you're not a strong believer, maybe exhale that. And open up to your heart's desires and your heart's longings. Let your palms or your hands, wherever works for you, reach the floor. Inhale, reaching your arms up in a big circle, palms meet, drawing your hands down in front of your face and chest. A few more times, inhaling, arms out to the side. And maybe ujjayi breath as you draw your hands down. A snoring, exhaling sound, inhaling quiet. Drawing in the heart reasoning, God's power, not our own wisdom. Next time your hands are in prayer pose, let them stay there. Twisting to your left side, sitting tall. Moving to the other side, twisting. Just a few more twists here before we get into down dog. Maybe you inhale as you rotate. Exhale as you twist. moving your palms pretty firmly together. And as you've taken an even amount of twist, roll your wrists and move into downward facing dog. So if you have a block nearby, please bring it because it's really nice to have this. So down dog, hands on the mat and bend your knees one at a time. Letting your chest sink somewhat in between your arms. And micro bend the elbows. And do whatever you need to do here. So free postures, free movement. Maybe you want to move to plank and back. Maybe you want to lift one leg. So as we move and breathe, maybe just have the back of your head that yoga wisdom, or any religion actually, they all go for human wisdom somehow. Now walk your feet to the front end of the mat. And what do you mean by that? I would say most religions grab your elbows and sway from side to side. Most, if not all, religions are religions where you are supposed to know something, find your wisdom, do something, find enlightenment, do the poses, do the meditation, do something. And what Paul is saying here is, it's not about that. I just came, I didn't do anything. I just spoke about Jesus. All right, slowly move into mountain pose. So Christianity, main thing, weakness and grace. That's the essence of Christian faith. Inhale, reaching your arms above your head. Exhaling, folding forward. Sun salutation A, lifting up halfway. Finding your plank. Taking a little bit slow the first time. Make sure your palms and ankles and everything are well stacked. Coming down on your knees, elbows back, come down on your belly, lifting up your chest, pull your shoulders away and move into down dog. Adjust your stance as you breathe. Let's do this 3 times. Welcome to close your eyes. Inhale, jump or walk to the top end of the mat. Exhaling, folding forward. Inhaling, high mountain. Exhaling, moving forward. And of course, bend your knees if you like. Inhale, half lift. Exhaling, plank to low plank. Jump back if you like. Inhale, cobra, up dog. Exhaling, down dog. Inhale, jump or walk to the top end of the mat. Fold forward, exhale. Inhale, rise up. And maybe you do it faster, slower than me, that's fine. Exhale, fold forward. Half lift, inhale. Plank, low plank, exhale. Cobra, up dog, inhaling. And make your way down as you exhale, down dog. Last time through. Inhale to the front. Exhale, fold forward. Still trying to incorporate your Ujjayi breath. Inhale, rise up. Exhaling, swan dive down. Half lift. Plank, low plank. Maybe you do your up dog here. Hip off the mat. And down dog. Inhaling to the top. Exhaling, folding forward. Inhaling, high mountain, hands down in prayer pose. Catch your breath. And now we are getting more into our power sequence. Lift your hands above your head. Make sure you don't elevate your shoulders. Navel in, right leg up. Try to have your knee aligned with your hip. Keep breathing. And try to extend the leg to the front. And then move it back. Maybe you bend your knee as you come down beside the front foot and lean into warrior 3. Still palms together if you happen to be able to do that. Stay here for a few breaths. Power yoga doesn't have to be fast. One more breath. Come on. High lunge. Maybe you put your hands down on the mat. Or maybe you see how it goes if you just land this right leg to the back. Let go of the palms and sink low, bending the front knee. Take your hands behind you. Bend your elbows, fold your hands behind you, and maybe squeezing pretty hard, never hyperextending the elbows as you lean to the front. I call it the humble high lunge. So lean on the inside of the thigh if you can. And again, we're going to stay here for 3 breaths or so. 2. One last breath. Let go, let your hands reach down. Step this left foot up and back. Open up your hips, stretch out the leg, point your toe. Align the shoulders with the short end of the mat. And again, we stay here for a few breaths, really opening up. Let's count down 2 more breaths. Inhale. Ujjayi, exhale. Last breath. Closing the hip, and let's see if we actually can get into a plank pose. Now lift the back heel off, and if you want to play a little bit, cross this left foot on top of the other and do a plank on just one leg, just for the fun of it. Strange kind of humor, right? But try to stay here. Navel in. Of course, you can use your elbows, you can use your knees. One last breath. And move back, down dog. Jump a step to the top. Fold forward. Shake your wrists. Now, power yoga is actually supposed to make us feel a little bit weak because it's hard poses and we get to the limit of what we can do. So let's just lean into what Paul is writing about, feeling maybe a little bit weak and inadequate as we do our power yoga here, but knowing that we're fully perfect in the eyes of God. Okay, rise up, palms meet, take them in front of your chest. Catch your breath. And if you're ready, lift your arms above your head again, palms together, and try really to push your palms together. This time, left leg up. See if we can keep the balance. Steady gaze. Extend the leg. See how that goes. The quads here, hopefully on fire. And to move your leg back. Our warrior 3 pose. Always going for airplane pose with arms out if it's the balance that kind of is your issue, or even just a finger on the edge of the chair. Really kicking out through the back heel. Stay here. Long, straightened legs. Shaking, probably. One last breath. And gently bend the front knee, lower down, high lunge. Arms now somewhat shoulder width distance. Woohoo! Finding your balance, trying to extend the back leg and going pretty low here as it is our power class. If it somehow hurts the ball of the back foot, you can always choose Warrior One, where the whole foot is down. Now again, our humble lunge. I love that phrase. Shoulders together as you lean forward, and actually I'm gonna go for Warrior One. Now Warrior One will also take a little bit of the balance off the equation of this pose. Have a tennis ball distance in between your chin and your cheek. Your chin and your chest. That's what we were gonna say. 2 more breaths. Hands down on the mat, lift the back heel off. Now right leg is gonna lift up and back, open up that hip. Now take a look at the foot on the mat. Maybe your heel is a little bit elevated off, that's fine. But the foot there is aligned with the long end of the mat. Really stretching the Achilles tendon there, or ligament it is. Two more breaths. If you're gliding on the mat because you're sweating, make sure the fingers, that edgy part of the fingers are reaching down. Beautiful. Okay, plank pose again. Option of crossing. Stacking wrist, elbow, and shoulder. Pushing firmly down to the mat. Try to not make this pose easier for yourself. Two more breaths. Smile. Finding strength in the weakness. Awesome. Let's get a little bit of our child's pose here. Knees on the mat. I would suggest to take your arms down by your side. If you're full of energy, just stay in down dog. We're gonna step to the top end of the mat. I promised you that if you brought a block, you were gonna use it. So if you don't happen to have a block, maybe a water bottle or a shoe can be just as fine. So you take your block in between your knees, right? Or a little bit over the knee joint if it's better for you. And then you squeeze the block. Let your hip sink down into chair pose as you squeeze the block. And then we're gonna go slowly a little bit further down, making sure your spine is somewhat straight. Sit down and lift a little bit up. So we're actually gonna go pretty low and halfway up. Just 4, squeezing the block. 3, 2. Doesn't this feel wonderful? 1. Awesome. Now, release. Take the block, pull it up the long end here. Step your right leg back, and maybe as you look back, turn the back foot. Make sure you don't hurt yourself. Warrior 2, but with this crown above your head. Going again as low as you can. Squeezing the block to engage your arms so you don't have to push up too high. Get your root lock and stay low for a few breaths. Let's go for 4. Stay with me. 3. Move this leg out. 2. Keep squeezing the block up here. Last one. Awesome. Hands down. We're not completely done. This front foot, turn it around. We're going to do our wide-legged pose. Arms here. This will be the easiest one. Or if you want to go hardcore, again, up above your head. Navel in, root lock engaged, so you're pretty strong engaged here. We're going to move from side to side. Inhale as you move to the high mountain pose. Exhale to the side. So our gravity point is different with the block up here than it would be with the block down here. So it's easier down here, depending, of course, how far you go out. We're gonna do 4. 3. Don't hyperextend the knees. 2. Such good core exercise. 1. Awesome. Let go of the block and make sure you turn the feet, not twisting or doing something in your ankle on your knees. Move back. Vinyasa flow. Inhale to plank. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, down dog. Why don't we do that one more time, but create a little bit more challenge for the back of the arm before we switch to the other leg with the sequence we've just been through. Move to your plank and lower down and see if you can hover a little bit over the floor. Use your knees if you need to. So stay here for 4, 5, not counting breath. 4, 3, 2, 1. Hip down. Ooh, that's hard. Lift up in your cobra or up dog. Sink down again. Here we go. Tuck the toes under. Let's lift up. Elbows by your ribs. Go on your knees if you have to. I count to 5, and our 5 will be in plank. So slowly up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ooh. How did that work out for you? That was tough. Go to the front and fold forward, shaking out. Using our body gets our mind reasoning a little bit to the side because we just tend to be involved in the postures. And this is what I really love about power yoga, and just feeling the body work. Using the block again in between your knees. Sit down in your chair pose. Now you can just hold the block without really squeezing, but I want you to try to notice if you can actually break the block, okay? If any of you actually do that, please let me know. Okay, I'll send you a book for free or whatever. All right, sit down. And let's again do squats. What, some kind of yoga squats here. Going low. 5, half up. 4. 3, 2, and 1. You did it. Let go of the block. And then take your left leg back so we move into the opposite direction. I'm gonna just turn here on my mat so I'll face you. Again, hands on the block. Go low, take a look at the front thigh. And actually, if you're used to this, see if you can go as low as to your horizontal line with this front thigh. That's gonna be noticed in your body. And take a look at the back leg. Typically we hyperextend it, so micro bend it. All of the foot down in the mat. Crown yourself. Or maybe think of this as God's grace over you and under you on the mat. Wow, that's beautiful. So this is what is so specifically different about Christian faith that we don't have to do. We just have to say yes. No action is required on our behalf. Just falling into the arms of Christ, saying yes. And this is why Paul was so into explaining about Jesus as the crucified and resurrected Son of God. Because that is the essence, that is the difference of Christian faith and all other religions, in my opinion. Keep staying here, squeezing the block for a few more seconds. Release, and once again into your wide-legged forward fold, and no block needed. Just go for a stretch. Head down. Okay, walk your feet a little bit closer. Now, if you're a little bit not in the right direction of the screen, you can actually step out here on the outer edge of the mat if the screen is in front of you. When I do yoga, I have the screen in front of me if I do online yoga. So you might have to, but I'll stay here. Okay, so walk your feet out in a little bit, toes pointing out, knees pointing out. We're gonna sit down again with your block here. Just gonna turn around. So now you can hold the block here on your back. If that's really not great for you, don't do it. Just take a hold of your arms. And then sit down in your squat here, shoulder blades back. And sit even lower and even lower, pushing the block firmly together with your palms. Staying for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let go. Time to release the block, shake out whatever you need, find your down dog where your hands are normally. Let's do your vinyasa, inhale to plank, or a variation of it. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, cobra, up dog, lower down on your exhale. Inhale, plank, tuck your toes under. Exhale, down dog. Now we have time before we start to slow down for any balance pose of your choice. It can be a handstand, just trying to play a little bit with kicking up your way up. See if you can find some sort of balance up there. Or even just splitting your legs, it might be your headstand. I'm not gonna explain a whole lot. I'll just practice my handstand here. It'll just be a few seconds of playing around. Lots of great workout with just playing with things here. And keep playing, but if you feel like you're done, child's pose, forehead on the mat. And let go, side out. Lift up, just one core exercise before we find some stretches. Again, last time, block in between your knees. Squeeze. Now, if this is too hard, don't go too low with your feet. Your hands come down or even supporting your lower back here. So you're going to do what in fitness language is called a crunch. So squeezing in on the block and lifting up. So don't go lower than your lumbar spine. The lower part of your spine can stay on the mat as your feet or your toes actually kind of reach down. I like to exhale when I have my knees up here, but I might take an extra cycle of breath as I move. Flat tension in your tummy. Sorry for the floor squeaking quite a bit here. Let's just do 4 more. 3. 2. 1. Let go off the block. Reverse the pigeon pose, so right leg out to the side. Of course, you're welcome to do a traditional pigeon pose. If you take your right leg out to the side, take a hold of the hamstrings here and the other leg. Pull this leg in. With your elbow, you can maybe move your right knee a little bit further out to the side. Close your eyes. So do you sometimes feel as a believer or whatever you call yourself that you need to earn the approval of God? Switching legs. Do you sometimes feel that when you pray, that you need to be good before you can pray, or you need to do something good if God should listen to you? Because the logic is, why would he listen to you if you're not a good person? Now let go. Let's do our happy baby. So 90-degree angle in your knees. Take your knees out to the side. If this does not feel comfortable, just hug in your knees instead. Now take your arms up towards the ceiling. Elbows on the inside of the knee joint. And if your hands can reach the outer edge of the foot, please do that, or you can hold the ankle. Pulling down on your feet without bending the knees further. With your elbows, you might take your knees further apart from each other. Try to relax in the pose. Coming back to my question, I know the feeling of having to do something for God to listen. That's when I remind myself. And when I start to pray, I speak out, or in my own mind to speak out. Thank you, God, for grace and knowing that I am loved by you because of Jesus Christ. So reminding myself about that makes me set free, not to do anything, of course, but more to not feel guilty about praying for things that I need or are worrying about or whatever. Let go of the feet, coming down, stretching your arms above your head, legs out. And then bring your hands down towards your belly, like your hands rest on your belly, maybe one on top of the navel and one just below. Notice the rhythm of your breath, eyes closed. And to have faith in Christ, it doesn't need a lot of rituals. Baptism and the communion is not, I think, a requirement for salvation. So we can enter freely into the loving arms of Christ or God. Just as freely as I hope you feel your breath right now. And you can stay with your hands all in your belly or find more traditional resting pose, hands down on the mat, palms facing up. And I'll just read the passage slowly one more time, else I hope you will rest on the mat. And maybe just chew or meditate on a few of the words that I'm reading. So Paul is writing again to the congregation in Corinth, a city almost like our cities today, with lots of religions, lots of clever people, wisdom teachers, and all of that. And so it was with me, brothers and sisters. When I came to you, I did not come with eloquence or human wisdom, as I proclaimed to you the testimony about God. For I resolved to know nothing while I was with you except Jesus Christ and Him crucified. I came to you in weakness, with great fear and trembling. My message and my preaching were not with wise and persuasive words, but with a demonstration of the Spirit's power, so that you might not rest on human wisdom, but on God's power. I'll finish our time with a prayer. God, thank you that a mighty person as Paul, who did so many great things back in the days, that he was also full of fear and trembling. And thank you that it sets me free to be your messenger of love, also as I'm fearful or trembling. And God, I pray that my faith will not rest solely on human wisdom, but on your power. Let me know your power in my heart, know that I know. Let me listen to my heart reasoning. And as a symbol maybe of wanting to know more of God's power, you're welcome to cross your hands in front of your chest. Let that be a sign from you to God that you would like to know more of God's power in your heart. I'll wrap up this class hoping and praying that you, during the time to come, will use the eyes and the mind of your heart and experience God's power. Thank you for joining. God's blessings on your path. Before you close the laptop, thank you so much for helping me reach out with CrossYoga by you subscribing, liking, leaving a comment. Every single person counts here. So thank you so much for taking the time to help me offer you free yoga also in the future.